Now, we're hearing incredibly optimistic views coming out of the White House as far as how long this can hold and what this is going to look like. That obviously still remains to be seen on the implementation side of this, and waiting to see if the firing does stop and if Iran and Israel do both agree to this. Because, speaking of the fluidity of the situation, it was just 24 hours ago that President Trump himself was suggesting a regime change in Iran was a possibility. And obviously right before that, having the United States strike Iran. And so, yes, there have been a lot of phone calls going back and forth. In part, this has to do with Iran's limited response earlier, where they fired on a U.S. base in Qatar, but there were no casualties. We know that they did give a heads up that they were going to be firing on U.S. bases without exactly specifying which ones. But that is the question here, is if the United States felt that it did not need to respond to the Iranian retaliation, did that create the space for this? That is what we've been hearing from administration officials. And so the question is whether or not this still holds for the next few hours.
Caitlin, I just been given word that Iran, according to a diplomat who briefed CNN, Iran has agreed to the ceasefire. So this is significant. I just want to try to learn some more information as soon as we get it about that. But if that is the case, that's incredibly significant, because that is, we were waiting. We had not heard from Iran. We had not heard from Israel. All we were going on so far has been the president's social media post, which was some 2 hours ago. So again, that is the first indication we have that Iran has agreed to this.
Iran today tried to save face, and instead they fell on their face spectacularly. And if you had any question if Iran was a rational actor, I believe the answer to that is categorically no. This all began, the posture before Fordo was hit, was President Trump saying unconditional surrender. Iran responded, we will never surrender. Okay, that's to the number one power in the world. We are the world's hegemonic power here in the United States. So that was their answer. Then they were asked, hey, are you going to negotiate with the United States? They said no. And they said, and we will never end enrichment. We would rather have war. That is the posture of Iran. And then today, maybe it was an intentionally weak response, maybe not, but any response in my mind against the world's hegemonic power was going to end this way. And instead, what they got today, China's already left, Russia's already left. Well, guess who condemned the attacks? Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Morocco, Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey, Yemen, and the Palestinian Authority. So you've literally lost everyone in the Middle East, everyone except I think Iraq hasn't condemned it yet. Maybe they have. And I just want to say, lastly, just how wrong everyone has been on President Trump. They said tariffs, the economy is going to end. Well, the economy is still rolling along. Oil is going to rise. Well, oil's falling. World War III is about to start. Well, instead, you've got the entire Middle East, it seems, set up in a posture where we may see more Middle East peace accords. So rather than World War III, we may get more peace. And rather than 34 felony counts, President Trump may end up with 34 Nobel Peace Prizes. That was for the leftists. You can clip this and make it go viral and go nuts.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am back. And for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm James Williams, the one and only Dog Waters. And you have found yourself swimming in the deep, dark waters at the Dog Waters channel, where we touch upon everything and anything. And surprisingly, we dig deeper than probably anybody you will ever watch. But nonetheless, I told you guys I was putting down the topic of the Iran-Israel war because it was not making any sense. It didn't add up. When things don't add up, sometimes you got to take a step back. And so over the past 48 hours, 24 hours, it seems to have resolved itself in a spectacular manner. In my opinion, Donald Trump beautifully trapped Israel and Iran, more so Israel than anything. Because the problem that we've had in America is that America's a dog and Israel's a tail. And sometimes the tail thinks it's going to wag the dog. And so we see where Donald went in, bombed the nuclear sites of Iran, came back out and said, okay, now we can have peace negotiations because there's no threat of nuclear war or Iran having a nuclear weapon. Then we see where the media goes in and the media says, well, it's my understanding that they removed the uranium, which would make sense that Donald negotiated, hey, you can remove your uranium. I don't care if you move uranium, but you're not going to be able to enrich your uranium. J.D. Vance came out and said as much. And And then we start getting these conflicting talking points out of Iran about whether there's a ceasefire deal. And word starts to leak that regime change is happening in Iran. And I want to say this about regime change. Boots on the ground regime change and bombing somebody and freeing the people are two completely different things. I mean, the Iranian regime needed to be changed. What America didn't want is American people didn't want another Afghanistan and another Iraq. Let's just keep it clear. So when people throwing around the terminology regime change, yeah, I mean, they needed a regime change. I mean, they're killing people, killing Christian people inside of Iran. The things that they do to their women inside of Iran are totally, completely ridiculous. So they needed a regime change. What the American people didn't want was, we didn't want a regime change that was equated to our sons and daughters going over there and dying on that soil and the blood of American citizens being spilled on the soil of Iran, which as right now is not happening, which means that as right now, I'm 100% satisfied with Donald J. Trump. I think he did a fantastic job. Excuse me. I think the president should be commended. I think anybody who's not going to commend the president for what he did is just a hater. Then this happens this morning. And I'm actually even more happier now than I've ever been with Donald Trump, because the one thing that worried me about Donald was how he was going to handle Netanyahu. I mean, I'm just going to keep it real with you. That was the one thing that worried me, because everybody wants to talk about Epstein lists and Epstein files and all the rest of this, but Epstein was a Mossad asset. And so what it meant was Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agencies, was blackmailing people in our media and blackmailing people inside of our entertainment business. And so what it meant was our greatest ally in many ways was one of our greatest enemies. It's why we clearly know Epstein ain't dead. He's in some witness protection program. That's why Epstein didn't kill himself. Irregardless of what Dan Bongino and Cash Patel said, we know that man didn't kill himself because he was an asset. So we have to deal with the Mossad threat to the United States of America, because at the end of the day, we cannot be beholden to another country. It's just a very delicate situation. And I'll just be honest with you. Let me go to Vigilant Fox, because he should have all of them. I'll be honest with you. I think Donald handled this the way, I think Donald handled this perfectly. I think he handled it perfectly. Here he is this morning talking about all the events.
We urge both sides not to violate the ceasefire, but reports coming from the region suggest that the sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it. I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay?
Have you spoken to him this morning? How confident are you that
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And, you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all. And frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
Do you believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really.
And you know, the thing about this tirade that Donald went on this morning, I don't know if it's just he's agitated or aggravated or if he's just fed up, but I kind of want to see him get fed up. I don't know about you, because I feel like his energy is catching up to the people's energy at this point in time. The people's energy, we've been tired of this foolishness. I feel like his energy is finally catching up with our energy. I mean, the people been like, yo, F you. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. But I think his energy is finally getting there. So he's telling the news media, screw you. The issue is, what are you going to do about it? And I'll say this. When a man like him gets to the point to where they're fed up with something, there's only two choices. You're either going to walk away from that thing, and he's not walking away from the president of the United States, or you're going to destroy that thing. Right? So I can predict and tell you now that you're going to see him rapidly go after the media. I mean, he's gonna go after probably CNN, MSNBC, unlike anything you've ever seen. And he goes on a lot. He goes further. He goes hard this morning, which I'm telling you, I'm excited to hear it, because I just feel like Donald has been very reserved, and I understand he's been under a lot of pressure. And I know in his mind, he's accomplished, just in the past 2 weeks, the things that he's accomplished has been amazing. I mean, it's been absolutely amazing. And nobody wants to give the man credit for what he's doing. But the reason is because they're enemies of America.
Yeah, you're real You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have to respond to Iran?
Oh, our Lord, our president is gangster. You know, it's amazing because what he just signaled was this. Hey, I'm getting ready to go call Israel. So he know that the Israelis was watching that conversation. Stopped in front of the cameras because he knew that Israelis was watching it. So he set the tone for the upcoming negotiation and conversation by saying they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I'm not happy with them. And remember, I was saying I didn't appreciate the fact that Fox News, ABC News, allowed Netanyahu to come on to the American airways and address not only our president, but our American citizens. And that's why Donald was pissed. Like, the nerve of you to allow another foreign president to come and address our people. You shouldn't do it. But the media is like, and that's how you know it's the deep state occupied media, including Fox News. You ever notice that's why all my videos is like Fox News won't talk about this. Because I don't care what anybody says. Fox is you know, deep state, what do you call it? Deep state, organized opposition, controlled opposition is what they are. They're good. I mean, they're the best we have, but they are still controlled opposition. And how do we know? Because they brought Netanyahu on. There's no reason for you to bring another president of another state, of another nation on your damn show until our president has spoken his piece and our president has laid out what's going to happen. All you did was empower him to speak to the American people. And I know for a fact that Donald was pissed off about it. I know he was. Typically, what will happen is we'll go to a foreign nation, like, for example, when Tucker was with Fox. We'll go to Russia and interview Putin in Russia. You know what I'm saying? And sit down, blah, 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 blah. Because you want to give a voice to that person. But, Vladimir Putin doesn't have, just free reign to come on TV in America. And they did the same thing with Zelensky. Remember, Zelensky was always coming on somebody's show, talking about what he wanted to talk about. They were interviewing Zelensky. And that's how you can tell what the controlled opposition media is. Now, I'll say this. It seems as if after Donald spazzed out, everybody got their stuff together. Because here it is. Trump says Israel turned around their planes. But this is what I'm talking about. On his Truth Social, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it's a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald J. Trump. Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will return around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. Yeah, because to be honest with you, Israel gets to the point to where they think they're going to wag the dog. They get to the point to where they think, oh yeah, we're going to do whatever we want to do. They think they can do whatever the hell they want to do, and America's going to support them. And as an ally, we don't owe them our blood. We don't owe them our sons and daughters' blood. And I'm not anti-Israel. I'm just saying, we don't owe that to you. Now, as the two nations that God has covenants with in this earth, yeah, we're going to look out for you. But, bro, if you're going to be hard-headed and keep on doing dumb stuff, then, man, that's between you, Iran, and God himself. And that was what was worrying me about this conflict. It really was. Because we had, and now we see that Donald is not beholden to Netanyahu. Now we see the pure power dynamic of this relationship, that America is dominant in the world. It's not America dominant in the world, but yet controlled by Israel. It's America is dominant on the world stage. And that was kind of we had so many tests this month of Pride Month. This was the next test that we were going through. I'm going to tell you, I think Donald passed the test with flying colors. Bravo, Donald Trump. Bravo, Donald Trump. People don't understand. I understand. Bravo, sir.